West End Girls is a song by British pop duo Pet Shop Boys. Written by Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe, the song was released twice as a single. The song is influenced by hip-hop music, with lyrics concerned with class and the pressures of inner-city life which were inspired partly by T.S. Eliot's poem The Waste Land. It was generally well received by contemporary music critics and has been frequently cited as a highlight in the duo's career. The first version of the song was produced by Bobby Orlando and was released on Columbia Records Bobcat Records imprint in April 1984, becoming a club hit in the United States and some European countries. After the duo signed with EMI, the song was re-recorded with producer Stephen Hague for their first studio album, Please. In October 1985, the song was re-released, reaching number 1 in the United Kingdom and the United States in 1986. In 1987, the song won Best Single at the Brit Awards, and Best International Hit at the Ivor Novello Awards. In 2005, 20 years after its release, the song was awarded Song of the Decade between the years 1985 and 1994 by the British Academy of Composers and Songwriters. In 2015 the song was voted by the British public as the nation's 12th favourite 1980s number 1 in a poll for ITV. The song was performed by Pet Shop Boys at the 2012 Summer Olympics closing ceremony and was included as part of the soundtrack of the 2013 game Grand Theft Auto V on the non-stop pop radio station. Background Recording and production. In 1983, Neil Tennant met producer Bobby Orlando, while on an assignment in New York interviewing Sting for Smash Hits. After listening to some demos, Orlando offered to produce for the duo. Indiana, 1983-84, the duo recorded 11 songs with Orlando, at Unique Studios in New York, West End Girls, Opportunities, One More Chance, I Want a Lover, A Man Could Get Arrested, I Get Excited, 2 Divided by Zero, Rent, It's a Sin, Pet Shop Boys, and Later Tonight. Orlando played most of the instruments on West End Girls, including the jazz riff at the end. Lowe played one chord and the bass line. It included a drum part lifted from Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, and an arrangement involving what Tennant called Barry White chords. Orlando was thrilled by the song's production. His idea was to make a rap record in a British accent. In April 1984, West End Girls was released, becoming a club hit in Los Angeles and San Francisco, and a minor dance hit in Belgium and France, but was only available in the United Kingdom as a 12 import. In March 1985, after long negotiations, Pet Shop Boys cut their contractual ties with Orlando, and hired manager Tom Watkins, who signed them with EMI. They re-recorded West End Girls with producer Stephen Hague, and re-released the song in late 1985, topping the charts in both the UK and the US. In an interview on BBC 4's Synth Britannia programme, Neil Tennant explains the role of the then-new sampling technology on the track and how every single sound came from the newly introduced EMU emulator keyboard. Music and lyrics. West End Girls is a synth-pop song influenced by hip-hop music. The song's socially conscious streak, as well as the propulsive bass line, derives from Grandmaster Flash's protest rap song The Message. Lowe and Hague created a snaky, obsessive rhythm punch for the music, replacing the song's previously sparse beats and minimal keyboard lines. Tennant started to write the song when he was staying at his cousin's house in Nottingham while watching a gangster film. Just when he was going to sleep he came up with the lines, "Sometimes you're better off dead, there's a gun in your hand and it's pointing at your head." The lyrics were inspired by T.S. Eliot's poem The Waste Land, particularly in the use of different narrative voices and arcane references. The song's lyrics are largely concerned with class, inner-city pressure. Tennant later said that some listeners had assumed the song referred to prostitutes, but was actually about rough boys getting a bit of posh. The lyric "From Lake Geneva to the Finland Station" refers to the train route taken by Vladimir Lenin when he was smuggled by the Germans to Russia during World War I, a pivotal event in the Russian Revolution. Indeed, it is highly likely the lyric was inspired by the book To the Finland Station by Edmund Wilson, a very famous work on the history of revolutionary thought and socialism that Tennant would have at least heard of, if not read, As a student. The Bobby Orlando-produced version of the single included another line, "All you're stopping, stalling and starting, / who do you think you are, Joe Stalin?" which was removed for the 1985 version. Critical reception: West End Girls has been generally well received by music critics. Stephen Thomas Eliot from AllMusic in a review of the album Please called the song hypnotic, adding that it's not only a classic dance single, it's a classic pop single. In a review for the group's second studio album Actually, Rob Herberger from Rolling Stone magazine commented that West End Girls was as catchy as anything on the radio in 1986, praising its enticing bass line and foreboding synth riffs, but felt that it was almost nullified by peevish spoken asides and the cryptic posturing of the duo's lyrics. In a review of the live album Concrete, Michael Hubbard from Music OMH said that West End Girls was one of the songs that round out a collection that never feels too long or superfluous, adding that it goes some way to installing Tennant and Lowe as national treasures. Nitzieb from Pitchfork Media, in a review of their compilation album Pop Art, Pet Shop Boys, the Hits commented that in the song we meet Tennant not as a singer, but as a speaker, adding that he mumbles the verses to us not like a star, but like a stranger in a raincoat, slinking alongside you and pointing out the sights. In 1987, West End Girls won for Best Single at the Brit Awards, and for Best International Hit at the Ivor Novello Awards. In 2005, the British Academy of Composers and Songwriters gave to West End Girls the Ivor Novello Award for Song of the Decade between the years 1985 and 1994. Music video: the video was directed by Andy Morahan and Eric Watson, and consists of shots of the duo around London. At the beginning of the video, noises from the city can be heard, a camera passes low on the street, and focus on two vintage dolls in a shop window. Then appears a sequence of quick cuts with shots of the city's different subcultures. The video freezes and cuts to Tennant and Lowe, who walk through an empty Wentworth Street and Petticoat Lane Market. They stand in front of a red garage door. Tennant is in front dressed with a long coat, white shirt and dark necktie, directly addressing the camera, with Lowe standing behind him with a blank expression. Lowe is filmed in double exposure and appears almost ghost-like. In other shots, Tennant walks imperiously while Lowe follows behind, as if one were a master and the other an apprentice. Then the video shows various shots at Waterloo Station, as the chorus starts. In slow motion, the camera pans across the Smith shop on the station concourse as the duo walk past. It cuts to a brief shot of a number 42 red double-decker bus, showing the destination as Aldgate, also advertising the stage show Evita, then black and white shots of the Tower Bridge, Westminster and the Westminster Palace Clock Tower from the sky. The duo poses on the south bank of the River Thames in a pastiche of a postcard image, with the Houses of Parliament as a background. The camera shows shots of young women, and passes through arcades and cinemas in Leicester Square. The camera now passes South Africa House showing protesters in the non-stop picket, an anti-apartheid vigil. The video cuts to a close-up of Tennant singing the chorus, with a purple neon sign passing across his face. At the end the camera passes again through Leicester Square, where people queue to see Fletch and Desperately Seeking Susan. The video was nominated for Best New Artist in a Video at the 1986 MTV Video Music Awards, but lost to a-ha's Take On Me. Chart performance: West End Girls was first released in April 1984 through writer and producer Bobby Orlando's label. The song was a club hit in the United States, and in some European countries, such as Belgium, where it debuted at number 24 on the VRT Top 30 chart on July 28, 1984. Peaking at 17 4 weeks later. In Canada, West End Girls first entered the RPM singles chart in April 1985, reaching a peak position of 81 in June 1985. Having signed with EMI, the group released their first major label single Opportunities in mid-1985, but it failed to attract attention. The Pet Shop Boys then decided to re-record West End Girls, and issue this new version as a single. Producer Stephen Hague helmed the new, re-recorded version of West End Girls. The re-recorded version of West End Girls was released in the United Kingdom in October 1985, debuting on the UK singles chart at number 80, and within 8 weeks of its release it had reached the top of the chart. It maintained the number 1 position for 2 weeks and received a gold certification by the British phonographic industry in January 1986. Across Europe, West End Girls also topped the singles chart in Norway, as well as peaking in the top 3 in Belgium, Germany, Ireland, the Netherlands, Sweden, and Switzerland. In Canada, where the original recording of West End Girls had already been a minor hit in 1985, the re-recorded version was issued as a single in early 1986. The re-recorded song entered the chart in March 1986, peaking at number 1 for 1 week on May 17, 1986. In the United States, West End Girls debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 71, reaching the number 1 position on May 10, 1986, and remained on the chart for 20 weeks. The song also peaked at number 1 on Billboard's Hot Dance Music Club Play chart for 2 weeks. Formats and track listings. Credits and personnel: Neil Tennant Euro vocals, lyrics, Chris Lowe Euro keyboards, artwork design, Helena Springs Euro additional vocals, Bobby Orlando Euro producer, Stephen Hague Euro producer, Steve Jerome Euro engineer Euro 1984 release, David Jacob Euro engineer, Frank Roszak Euro remixing, Eric Watson Euro photography. Charts and certifications. Chart positions year-end charts certifications East 17 version. In 1993 East 17 covered West End Girls for their album Walthamstow, with limited chart success. Track listings 7 inches. West End Girls. Charts Notes. References. External links: West End Girls music video on YouTube, West End Girls lyrics, full lyrics of this song at Metro Lyrics.